Good evening, everyone. It is time for One-on-One with Jesus' Tuesday's Thoughts. Tonight, I kind of want to hit on a little bit of a post that I did a couple weeks ago regarding Moses. If you may have seen it, it said something along the lines of, don't feel like just because you've made a mistake that you can't still be used of God, or that God has no purpose for you. Just remember Moses, remember the burning bush. And it's in Exodus chapters 2 and 3. We see where, for those of you that may not be familiar with the story, if you read both those chapters, it'll tell you, but I'll condense it really quickly. Moses is born during a time where baby boys are being killed. So his mother puts him in a basket, puts him in the Nile River, and the king's daughter finds him. He ends up being raised in a palace, even though he is a Hebrew child. And one day he's out and he sees the Egyptians treating his people, one of the Hebrew slaves, in a very bad way. And so what does Moses do? Moses kills the Egyptian because he's very upset that he's treating, one of his people, a Hebrew, the way that he's being treated. And it goes on to say that he realizes, oh my goodness, people are going to find out what I've done, and he leaves. He ends up getting married. He ends up being kind of like a shepherd in a field, watching over flocks, and years have passed. But see, from the moment that his life was spared, when he was a baby, God knew exactly what his purpose was. And as he's out with the flock, there is a burning bush, and he's like, how is this bush not burning up? And he's thinking, I have to go see what this is. And of course, those of us that are familiar with the story know that this is God speaking to Moses through a burning bush. And you can read the whole event, and starting with Exodus, not Genesis, Exodus chapter 2 and Exodus chapter 3. And you can see the story of Moses and when he's called. And even though he made a mistake and he ran away for a while, God called to him, and Moses came, and Moses heard, and Moses listened. So maybe some of you out there are watching and you feel like a mistake that you have made in your past, possibly even recently, you feel like it has entirely derailed anything that God could ever use you for. And that is nothing but a complete lie. Yes, there are times in our life where we make a decision that totally changes the path and direction of where we're going. But we need to understand and remember that God is a God of love. Jesus Christ redeems. And no matter what we've done or what we didn't do in the past, God still has a plan and a purpose for each and every one of us. So maybe someone out there watching, you feel that God has called you to something, and you feel like something you've done in your past has entirely wiped it away and you can no longer do it. Seek God. Yes, maybe you have done something that now you actually, in an earthly manner, you can't do what you originally felt called to do, but know that God is the God of the impossible, and he can make a way where there seems to be no way. If you know that you are called to a purpose, called to something specifically, because we all have a purpose, we all have a calling, but if you know what yours is, and you have not been going after it, or you have not been praying about it because you feel that you have done something to totally annihilate it, I challenge you tonight, seek God. Seek your burning bush moment. God, call out to me. I'm ready. I'm sorry for whatever it is I did, God, that kind of got me off course, but Lord, I'm here, I'm ready. And God, I believe that there is nothing I can do that can ruin your plan for me. It might change, it might be a little different than what it would have been if you made another kind of choice, but God can use all of us, no matter where we are. God can use those who are incarcerated. God can use those who have never stepped foot into a church. God can use those of us that maybe have pretty much been living for the Lord all of our lives. God can use anyone, and God can use anything. We just have to have an open heart and be willing to be led by the Spirit, just like our post from this morning. We need to let God lead our steps, just like it says in Psalm 37. It doesn't mean it's going to be an easy ride or an easy walk, but we know that it will be the right one because we're letting God guide our steps. So if you feel like a Moses, you did something, you've kind of been wandering away, it's time to come on back and say, God, I'm ready. What is it that you have for me to do? God, what is it that you're going to use me for? Because, Lord, I know that even though I may have missed it the first time, you are a God of second chances. Stay in the Word, keep Christ first, and I'm excited to meet with you throughout the week through our posts, and I will see you next Tuesday. God bless.